Whether it's a romantic wedding, a lively sports venue, or a rocking high school dance, Troutland Entertainment has you covered. Contact them at 330-41. Sports on Tap Summer Spotlight is presented by Raymond Felton State Farm.
Have you compared insurance rates lately? Are you satisfied with your current insurance provider? If not, look no further than Ray Felton State Farm, a proud sponsor of Sports on Tap. For a free quote, call his office at 234-284-2996 or visit him online at rayfelton.com.
Whether you're hosting a corporate event, wedding, conference, concert, or any other special gathering, our comprehensive range of services will exceed your expectations and elevate your event to new heights. RRT Productions. We shoot, we edit, you win. Visit our website at www.rrt-productions.com.
Hand-and-built leather goods. Leather goods built for life. Made by hand in the USA, all goods are made with veg-tanned leather. Some of the best quality around and made by a U.S. veteran. Check out their website, www.handbuiltleather.com.
We've got the experience, the passion, and the beach to make your event a smash hit. Whether it's a romantic wedding, a lively sports venue, or a rocking high school dance, Troutland Entertainment has you covered. Contact them at 330-414-4261 or email them at troutlandent@gmail.com. That's troutlandent@gmail.com.
Welcome, everybody, to Light. We are previewing the high school football season. We're talking with coaches within our coverage units of the Greater Cleveland Conference, the Southwestern Conference, the Suburban League, and the newly formed Cleveland West Conference. We got lots to talk about here, and we're joined by two very, very great coaches who've been with their respective schools for quite a while here. A little bit later, we'll be joined by Highland Hornets head coach Mike Gibbons. But right now, first off, you're watching this on our YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe to our page. Get the notifications. We're about to go on the air. Follow us on Twitter at SOT Podcast. Facebook, we're at Sports on Tap. We are on Threads at SOT_podcasts. If you want to hear us, you got access to audio. Check us out on Spotify as well. We're on Spotify. Our website is sportsontappodcast.com. That's where you get all the information about our show, our schedules, standings, everything you want to know about the high school football season coming up for our conferences. It will be at sportsontappodcast.com. And of course, for any suggestions, comments, questions, send us a note at sportsontappodcast@gmail.com. I want to thank our tremendous sponsors. You got to hear a little bit about them beforehand. Make sure you stick around after the show to hear from another word from our fantastic sponsors. As we mentioned, we have another coach coming up as well. He's joining us right now. We are joined by Mac Stephens from Cleveland Heights, former NFL player drafted by the Patriots. He played with the Jets and the Vikings. He has coaching stops at Euclid, Glenville, VASJ, and Lutheran East. And he has been with Cleveland Heights. He's been the head coach there since 2015. And he has compiled quite the record in more recent years. We are joined by Mac Stephens from Cleveland Heights. Coach, thanks for taking the time to join us tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey, Coach, we're getting closer and closer to the to two-a-days and getting ready to really get the pants on and start hitting. How's the offseason been going for Cleveland Heights so far?
Well, it's been tremendous so far. We had a great, January through May in the weight room and just, trying to develop that culture via the weight room first. We had a lot of guys that are dual sport athletes. So we had some guys wrestling, indoor track, outdoor track, basketball, etc. So it was tremendous in the off season. And then, in June, actually mid-May when we hit the field, going outside, it's only gotten better, just installing our offensive and defensive schemes and just trying to figure out where all the parts and pieces are going to go as we enter into this new season.
Yeah, with that, Coach, you guys had we'll take a step back from last year. Last year, your first year in the Greater Cleveland Conference, a mostly Division I conference. All you did was just go out and win the conference. A very successful first year in the Greater Cleveland Conference. So we'll wrap up. We'll start there. How was it? How was the adjustment going from the Lake Erie League teams you've played for quite a while, then going to the Greater Cleveland Conference, where you've had some familiarity with like Brunswick and Strongsville and some of the other schools there, but not on as regular of a basis as you will be soon. How was that? Obviously, wins and losses, the transition was great. But as far as preparation, how was the transition from the LEL to the Greater Cleveland Conference?
Well, it started a couple years prior to us actually joining. My AD had kind of shared with me that was part of his thought process. So, we scheduled a couple of non-conference games with teams like Brunswick and Strongsville, just to kind of get our feet wet and just so that our kids could get used to the type of competition that they would see week in, week out once we actually joined the conference. And, and then going into the summer last year, it actually was just, I'm big on just preaching a mindset. You just got to have a mindset and take 1 week at a time. That's very much coach speak, but, we mean it. You just got to go 1 week at a time. And that's what we did. And, we had some tough games. And to be quite honest, I expect it to get tougher this year.
Coach, again, thank you for taking the time. I know it's a busy time of year for any coach, whether you're assistant coach, head coach, peewee coach, doesn't matter. You got a full plate. What's been the mentality? You mentioned mindset earlier, and I really want to kind of dive into that because I really enjoy hearing coaches kind of set the tone for their team. We talk to coaches each year, and some coaches want to build on successes like you guys had last year. Other coaches want to refine it. What's been the big mindset that you've been preaching all off season to your players going into a good season this year?
Yeah, again, I'm going to touch on an overused phrase, but one thing that I've recently talked to our team about is like embracing the process. And I give examples of whether it's myself or some of the other coaches on the staff. I know when I grew up, I slept with my helmet on half the time because I just loved the game that much. I loved the workouts. You couldn't make me work out enough. I enjoyed the competition in practice. So it's trying to get our team to understand and take on that same mindset. Like every day, it's competitive. And one thing about Heights right now, going into my 10th season versus, the first couple of years is, there's a young guy waiting behind you that's pretty athletic and ready to go and probably physically prepared. So you can't take any days off because if you do, you might lose your starting position. So again, it's just really putting a lot of emphasis on embracing that everyday grind, especially this time of year, 2-a-days approaching. And it's tough, and we don't make it easy. I believe in hard coaching, and the kids just have to adapt. And if they learn to adapt and embrace it, in the end, good things are going to happen.
Coach, thank you again for taking the time and joining us. And it was great covering you guys last season. The players you have coming back are phenomenal. You got it. First of all, it starts off with Marquise Davis, as well as special talent that kid has, the recent Kentucky commit, and then you got Brandon Caesar, the 5-star recruit, who's recently uncommitted for right now. And then you got Jaquan Stubbs, who just recently committed to Minnesota. And then you got Amir Atkins, Henry Perriman. But just kind of talk about how awesome those guys you have coming back will be a big boost. And even talk about some of the other players will have an impact going into this season.
Yeah, we have a tremendous group of young men. They all make us better coaches than what we really are, to be quite honest. Marquise Davis he's a man amongst boys. I mean, he's put on about 15 pounds since last season. He's gotten faster, stronger. I expect him to have a better year than he had last year. As well as he played last year, I think he had almost 2,400 yards. Half the time he wasn't even making the right reads. Our offensive line wasn't always blocking the best that they could. But this year, with him coming back, obviously, is going to make us a tough team to defend. But up front, I tell you, that's what I'm most excited about. We got an offensive line that, you know, they probably average over 6'3", 6'4", tackle to tackle. You know, I think the smallest guy is our center, probably at 6'2", 280, but we go, you know, the biggest guy, Sandale Jackson, 6'7", goes about 350. So we got some hogs up front that have done a great job this summer. They're way ahead of where we were last season. So that's the scary thing. Marquise is actually going to have some blocking this year. So, you know, Asher Wilson is coming back. He was a backup quarterback last year. He's made some huge strides. Amir Atkins, in my opinion, is probably one of the most underrated athletes in Northeast Ohio. He had a pulled groin pretty much the entire regular season last year, so you never really saw him at full speed. But he's someone to watch. He's, you know, when he touches the ball, he's electric. He's going to play on both sides of the ball for us. He's a guy that you just got to keep on the field. Henry Perryman, he'll be a junior, guy that's getting SEC looks, Big Ten looks, another tremendous athlete, track athlete. We expect him to do some big time things on both sides of the ball. Then, I mean, defensively, you know, when you talk about, you know, the Brandon Caesars, got a young man, Jameel Ham, who's a transfer, D lineman that's going to be tremendous. You know, it's the one thing that I'm excited about defensively is we have some athletes on the defensive side of the ball. We're going to be pretty quick on the defensive side, but our front seven should be tremendous. So it's exciting to see what we have on paper. But again, it's, you know, these next 3 or 4 weeks, we just got to get some things solidified and then, you know, see, you know, who the starters are going to be and go from there.
Yeah, and Coach, you know, your team has had a lot of success. You know, over the years, it seems like you continue to develop players, you know, a lot of younger players. I mean, Marquise Davis, I mean, you look at him, you know, year in and year out, he's getting better and better each year. How do you go at it developing these players and figuring out how to put them in the right situations really to thrive in an offense or your defense?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point. You know, the big thing is just reaching these young guys mentally. You know, physically, they're going to lift weights, they're going to condition and do all of those things because at Cleveland Heights, they don't have a choice. But it's just mentally taking them to that next step and constantly challenging those guys. You know, the Marquise Davises, Brandon Caesars, the Jaquan Stubbs, Amir Atkins, Henry Perryman, guys like that. Those guys get coached harder than anybody, just because they're the so-called, you know, guys that are being recruited the most right now. They also get coached the hardest most often. And so it's about getting those guys to set the example every day in practice or in the weight room or in the classroom or just in the community, you know, knowing how to carry yourself day in and day out. That's, in my opinion, how you win. It's doing all the little things the right way. It's, in my opinion, it's easy to coach X's and O's, but how can you get these young people to do all the little things every day so the big things happen?
We're talking with head coach of the Cleveland Heights Tigers, the co-Division I Coach of the Year, Mac Stephens. Coach, with that, with with players like Marquise Davis and some of the others that you mentioned, how important is it for them and your players to be involved with the youth program and help build the next step of Cleveland Heights Tigers?
Well, my stance on that is, like today, we had a youth camp at Cleveland Heights this morning. It's actually all week long. It's an NFL alumni camp that I'm directing. Our players, they work the camp. Marquise, for example, Davis, he'll be there first thing tomorrow morning working that camp. But it's about understanding that you've been blessed with an unbelievable athletic ability, and you need to share that with the community, not only your athletic ability, but just who you are as a person. So it's not even about just coaching these young kids so they can come up and play for Cleveland Heights, but it's about coaching these young kids, and whether it be in camps or speaking at a school or your church or whatever, because someone did that for you at some point in time in your life, and now it's your opportunity to use the platform that you have to hopefully impact a kid in a positive way. But at Cleveland Heights, we have what's called the Heights Blueprint. And what it is based on 3 pillars, the first being academic excellence. That means something different for every player, but really getting these young men to understand how important academics are. Second pillar is being socially responsible, which just means being respectful to your teachers, respectful to young ladies in the hallways, giving back to your community. I don't want mom or dad calling me saying you can't come to practice because you didn't take out the trash. Just do what's expected of you every day. And then the last pillar is just athletic effort. Not everybody is a Marquise Davis or a Brandon Caesar, but everybody can give effort. Whether you're that guy that might never see a rep on a Friday night, you all have the ability to put forth your best effort. So we just, try to get our kids to understand if you can embody those 3 things, in the end, you're going to be successful.
Coach, that's a fantastic message. And I also want to say that, you're running a camp. You said you're running a camp all week, and you're kind of the head of that. I'm going to say a prayer for you because I've just got back from a camp, and I don't know. I don't know how anyone has the patience or the organizational skill, because when you're talking kids and out there on a football field, getting them just to be in the right place at the right time is a miracle of itself. But so, I mean, you got kids and your team out there. Just enjoy the week and try not to hurt anybody or yell at anybody, because I was there and I was just a parent watching it, and it was tough enough as it was. But I got to say, looking at you, just taking, with Noah's coverage of your team and the way the community kind of comes out and really supports you guys, even traveling from what Noah shows, it was really impressive. Is that something that you've seen kind of build over your career at Heights, or has that always kind of been there, but now that with the success, it's kind of ramping up?
Well, I tell you, I interviewed for the Heights job, over 9 years ago. That was one of the things that I stressed, was that I wanted to get the community to back supporting the football program. Cleveland Heights is always known as a great basketball school, but nowadays when you talk about Cleveland Heights, we still have a tremendous basketball program, and Coach Brimmer does a great job. But people recognize our football program because we do, not only is, I think, beyond the winning part, we have great kids, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention my coaching staff. I have a tremendous coaching staff that I just let those guys coach, and I kind of get out of the way. And be quite honest, I probably get way too much credit. And then I try to do the little youth camps and drive myself crazy with those things, and oversee the fundraisers and all of that. But I have a tremendous coaching staff, and again, as I said earlier, we have some talent that makes my entire staff, including myself, our talent makes us better coaches than what we really are.
Well, and the talent, comes from you developing that talent too. You're a heck of a coach, and you've consistently done it. Now, looking back on your career, playing in college, the NFL, and now coaching in high school football. Do you think your experience in the NFL really taught you different schemes and how to communicate with players and kind of, I mean, it's tough to talk to high school kids and get every kid to believe, but do you think your NFL experience helped you do that?
Oh, absolutely. And let me just go beyond the NFL experience. I was fortunate. I mean, I started playing organized football at age 8, and I don't know that I ever had a bad coach. I had coaches that coached for the right reasons. They taught fundamentals. They stressed sportsmanship. And more importantly, they stressed having fun. And the one coach that stressed having fun more than any of those guys was when I was in the NFL with the New York Jets. My defensive coordinator, guy named Pete Carroll, who was most recently the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. That guy was high energy. He was all about having fun in practice and games. And that was something that I took away from the NFL game. And I try to incorporate that with our high school team. I joke around with our kids, and I do my little no soft behavior videos every so often because they hang out in the training room too much. But, but I just do stuff like that so that we're having fun. And, sometimes we get too serious about it. One thing that I've recognized a long time ago, these kids get 4 years of high school only one time. And I want them to graduate from Cleveland Heights with great memories of their time playing football.
Yeah, no doubt about that, Coach. One of the things that really sticks out to me is that you added 2 teams, not only from the state of Ohio, but the state of Michigan on your schedule for this season, Detroit King and River Round, Michigan. Just kind of talk about how the process of that went and how does it make you better as a football team going into this season?
Yeah. Oh, wow. I don't even know where to begin with that question. I'll say this. We talked to teams from probably, I think, 4 different states just trying to find games. We were talking with a team that won a state championship in Illinois. They were a team out of Chicago. We had talked with IMG a little bit, team in New York, team out of Washington, and then, of course, three or four different teams out of Michigan. We were getting a little worried that we wouldn't be able to fill some of those weeks. And then it came together where we were able to schedule Detroit MLK, which is one of the top teams up in Michigan. We'll play them in their high school classic week 2 at Wayne State University. So our kids are excited. They're excited to go to Michigan twice. We play Hudson week 3, I believe, and Hudson's a perennial playoff team. And they're tough. But one thing about this group of kids, I think back to my early years, like if you said, oh, we got to play certain teams in the area that just have a history of success, kids might be a little bit nervous or what have you. But this team I have right now, it didn't matter who we put on the schedule. They were going to be ready to go. And I love that mentality. But again, it goes into, we still got to prepare. Kids still have to execute. Coaches still have to coach. And then hopefully we'll come out on top when it matters on those respective Friday nights.
And with that, their season does start on August 23rd. They will take on Trotwood Madison, a playoff team from last year, to a completely stacked schedule that Coach Stephens has for his Tigers. Coach, we can't thank you enough for the time. Good luck to Cleveland Heights this year, and as the season progresses, I'm sure we'll be out at your games, and we'll see if we can't get either you or some of your athletes on over the course of the season.
Hey, I appreciate the exposure you guys give to Northeast Ohio high school sports. You guys do a tremendous job, and hopefully we'll cross paths at some point during the season. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks for your time, Coach.
No problem.
All right, that is the reigning Division I Coach of the Year, Mac Stephens from Cleveland Heights. They start their season off at Trotwood Madison. They're going to host Trotwood Madison, then they're going to go to Detroit. I know I caught it. They're going to host Trotwood Madison, and then they're going to go to Martin. They're going to go to Detroit to take on Martin Luther King. They're going to host Hudson, and then of course get into that GCC season. They do have a battle against River Rouge in the middle of that. Next year, Lorraine will come to the GCC, so we're gonna have a 7-team. It'll be a full 18 GCC with a 7-game slate. So they only got 3 games to worry about in the off season or in the non-conference season. Marquise Davis, can't say enough about him, but there's a lot of talent coming back for Cleveland Heights. That's going to be, they won the GCC in their first year. I think they won the last 2 years that they were in 3 out of the last 4 years, they won the LEL, leading into their jump to the Greater Cleveland Conference. So there is a lot of, there's a lot of hunger for the Tigers to jump into the season. And then obviously once playoffs rolls around, it's all about that positioning. They were the number 2 seed last year in Division I, Region 1. They defeated Euclid, defeated Berea Bryn Park, and had lost a real tough game to Medina there. So that is Coach Stephens, and we'll look forward to seeing how the Tigers do. All right. We are going to go from one tremendous program head coach to another. We are going to be joined shortly here by head coach of the Highland Hornets from the Suburban League American Conference, Coach Gibbons. There he was. He's upside down. It's like Rachel's doing some work for him. Perfect. And Coach Gibbons from Highland joins us. He'll be this is his he's going into, if I did my math right here, I think he's going to his 10th season here at Highland. They were the regional runner-up in Division II, Region 6 last year. 2 years ago, they were the champions of the American Conference. They are coming off of an 11-3 season, and the Hornets have turned into quite the perennial powerhouse in the last few years since Coach Gibbons has taken over. I can't say this enough. I was privileged enough to be his teammate in college, and I'm certainly glad that he's able to join us again. So when Coach Gibbons is ready to roll, Coach Gibbons has also attained friend of show status. He's been on with us quite a while over the years here. So, yeah, no doubt.
He's a fish. He's an official friend of show.
I know. I was going to say, a lot of these coaches, I mean, we've had them on so many times. I think all of them are becoming friend of show status. So we have a lot of friends. Let's put it that way out there. There he is.
What's up, Mom? You there?
Yeah, you got me?
Yeah, we got you. What's up, man? How you doing?
Good. How you guys doing? Sorry about that.
Oh, that's all right.
Good. All good. Thanks for taking some time to join us, man. How's the offseason going for the Hornets?
Yeah, it's been good. Kids are working really hard. We've had a really good offseason, so feel really good about like our leadership with this team, and really have been getting after it the whole offseason. So yeah, proud of these guys and ready to get this thing started.
Yeah, Coach. As this recap, we usually recap last year. Obviously, another great year for Highland. A couple, 3 wins in the playoffs. Ran into that pesky team from Avon again. Obviously, a very good squad. But last year, another great year. Obviously, you don't want to end on a loss, but a good building block again for what you got going on this season.
Yeah, I think last year's team had a great year. A lot of really good players, a great team. They really came together and played really hard. So, looking forward to this group coming up this year, trying to build off of everything that we were able to accomplish last year, building into the 24 football season here. So excited about this group, looking at this senior class, and within the last 3 years, they've been in the program since their freshman year. They believe they've gotten 10 extra weeks through playoff games. So, I look at it as like they almost have a whole nother season under their belt with experience. So it's an experienced group, and I think they're ready to go.
Well, Coach, I mean, let's get into it. Let's talk about some of the players that you're going to be relying on going into the season, both offensively and defensively for the Hornets.
Yeah, I think really, up front, we have some experience back there. So, Carson Noonan, he just committed to Miami of Ohio. Very good defensive lineman, offensive lineman for us. Ryan Zywick is a returning conference lineman of the year. Tremendous player there. But then, you got Brady Bendow as a returning starter at offensive guard for us. Very good size, great feet, tough wrestler. Ben Coyne, also a returning starter at right tackle. He's about 6'3", 6'4", 265. And then we have some other guys in there too up front on the offensive line that I think we have really good size that can really move people. Obviously, Casey Miser in the backfield, returning All-State running back from last year as a sophomore, him going into his junior year. And then, again, the other skill positions, they'll be newer, but, the JV team was 10-0 last year. The freshmen were 9-1. So I think these guys are ready to step into these roles. And, on defensive side of the ball, you go back to, Carson Noonan, Ryan Zywick, Caleb McKean is another defensive end that I think is going to be really, really solid for us. Garrett Phillips at the safety position, a returning starter for us back there. Jameson Gordon at Mike linebacker, got some time last year and is ready to go at Mike linebacker this year. And then, again, some other spots that we're going to have some great competition this upcoming fall camp. So excited about this group, like where we're at, and ready to get started.
Coach, thank you again for taking the time and joining us tonight. Recently, you guys just wrapped up your youth camp. Just kind of talk about how that went, and what is it like for some of the younger kids to kind of look up to some of like the players you currently have right now?
Yeah, in our school and our community, it really means a lot. I think I think it's a football hotbed here. So getting the opportunity to go through the youth camp, we had over 100 kids. In the middle school camp, we were over 80. So we had 3 really good days, and our high school kids do a great job of giving back. And we had, our high school players were there running drills, talking to the youth and middle school players, just having fun with them too, just getting out there and doing razzle dazzle or doing their own little competitions to just interact with our younger players because, on Friday nights, they all come to the game. They're all there. They're watching them. So for them to kind of get to know these kids a little bit better, I think is really important for our program and, to kind of get everyone fired up about what's going on.
Yeah, I think when I've been to many Highland games, and that place is always packed, it seems like. You get a great turnout. You get great support from the community. You see a lot of young kids, and, they line up when the kids or when the guys are running, through that tunnel. It's like a tunnel of kids they run through and take the field, and you could tell these little kids are like, I'm going to do that one day. And I think that's kind of what it's about, having fun and enjoying the game of football. And you could tell your kids, you do a great job getting these kids to play hard. And every year, consistently, your team continues to grow each year. No matter who you lose, they continue to battle and get in the playoffs and have successful seasons. As a coach, how do you keep doing that every year, especially when you lose so many players? And, Highland it's a decent-sized community, but it's not huge either. So how do you continue to get these kids to believe in what you're doing and put them in the right spots?
Yeah, I think, it starts with the kids, number one, buying into what we're doing. I think there's been really great leadership over the last few years, and I think it's kind of trickled down. So to the point where the expectation is really high for these kids when they want to win, but they don't want to let people down either. So there's that constant pressure. And even as a coach, you feel that you don't want to let the players down because of how hard they're working. And we certainly don't want to let our school down or our community down because there's a lot riding on it with everyone. So, it's a good pressure. I think the kids really enjoy it. They love playing for, the H on their helmet. And I do think that, you build off of successful seasons and it can snowball for you in a good way. I know our running back, Casey Miser, it was a good story about, when he was in youth football, Jake Rogers came over back in 2018 and gave him a big high five. And, at that time, his dad was like, he couldn't believe that Jake Rogers came over and gave him a 5. Well, now he's the All-Ohio running back, and he's doing that for other kids. In 6-7 years, then there's going to be another, Casey Miser back there running the ball. So I think, the ability to do that and the kids all be together for, is a really good thing for our program.
Now, can you believe you've been there, 10 years at Highland? Has it flown by or has it crawled for you a little bit?
No, it's awesome. I love it. Can't say enough good things about our school, about our community, about our kids, about the parents. The kids wouldn't be who they were if they didn't have great parents and great people that support them at home. So it's been an absolute blast. It really has flown by. You think back to, 10 years ago, and it doesn't feel like it was that long ago. So just really happy with where we're at, but hopefully, we can keep it going. We still have a lot of work ahead of us.
Talk with head coach of the Highland Hornets, Mike Gibbons. Hey, Coach, touching back to what you mentioned earlier with your kids now having had an extra 10 weeks, the seniors had an extra 10 weeks of playoffs when you count the last 3 years. Your own high school experience and your own college experience, where you've had your teams habitually made deep playoff runs. How do you think that helps you impress that upon the kids in those for those extra games, knowing that this is an opportunity here. This isn't just freshmen or sophomores that are just playing the string out here. Like, this is important work we got going on here. How's your own experiences from your prep and college days help you out with here?
Yeah, I do think I can relate to them when we get further in the playoffs, and I can kind of talk to them and say, guys, like I have been in this situation, so I know it can be a grind. I know practices and the games, and by that point of the year, you've been playing 13, 14 games. Your body's feeling it for sure. So I guess from my standpoint, not only my coaching, but I could tell them that, hey, I did go through this, when I was playing, whether it was, in high school or college. So, I do understand it. I know it's tough, but you can do it. So I think from that standpoint, that may help them, just at least encourage them to keep pushing and working hard.
Yeah, it's certainly unique in that, it's not after every week, another set of teams go home and you guys and your teams are one still standing. I mean, we had that amount for umpteen years, and you guys have had that going at Highland for quite a while. Let's talk about let's get to this season now. You're pretty much running it back with the same schedule. You're starting out with Hudson. You got North Royalton and Brunswick. North Royalton and Brunswick, you've had some pretty good success against over the years. Hudson, a tough game last year. Powerhouses of the Suburban League. We'll talk about the non-conference schedule before we get into the Suburban League American Conference.
Yeah, I think it's a good schedule. Obviously, opening up with Hudson, now going to their place, we know that's going to be a tough one. And I thought, even though we were on the short end of it last year, I think it helped us get better as the season went on, right? And no one wants to lose, and but I did think you learn from losses sometimes, and that certainly I think helped us get better throughout last season. Now we're going into this year, and we're excited for the opportunity to play them. We know it's going to be a great team. It's going to be a great game. They have a lot of really good players, and feel like we have some good ones too. So, on the road at Hudson, what a great high school environment that'll be week one. And then, come home to North Royalton, and it's a familiar foe. We played them for a long time, and certainly have a ton of respect for Coach Chuli and North Royalton and their program. So excited to play them week two, and then having Brunswick week 3 back at our place. And I know they have a new coaching staff, and I know they'll be ready to go, and it'll be a big time game. Two communities that are very close to each other, so it'll be a packed house. It'll be high pressured environment. So yeah, I think 3 really good local games that there's a lot of computer points and all that on the line right there. The first 3 games.
Well, Coach, and then you go into, as Ed mentioned, you go into that meat grinder of the American Conference where, you kind of back end a little bit here with Aurora towards the end to cap up your season, similar to last year. Just talk a little bit about how that American Conference has evolved since you guys have been involved with them, because it really has gotten, for a while there it was you and Aurora. But now you have the teams like Barberton, you have teams like Talmadge kind of coming on, and Kent Roosevelt's getting better. So do you see that your division overall is becoming more competitive each and every year?
Yeah, I think you can look at every team and see the guys that they have coming back, and it kind of gives you a pause, and definitely have to take it one game at a time. Really, at the end of the day, I think that's the message that I know it sounds cliche and all that, but if you don't bring your A game, you're going to get knocked off. So I think that's important, is just to take it 1 week at a time. We have a lot of respect for the coaches, the players in the Suburban League, and just have to prepare like it's, every game is a season of its own, and do the best that we can do. And hopefully, we put ourselves in position to win a league championship. I know that's our goal. But that's a long way off, and just knowing that, hey, it's one practice at a time, one game at a time, and just focus on where you're at right now.
Hey, Coach, with that, with your, having been a head coach now overall, this will be your 12th season overall being a head coach. Going back to even your Beechwood days and your early days in Highland, how have you evolved as a coach over the years going into where you're at now?
Yeah, there's experiences. It means so much. It really does. Like, looking back at where I was as a young coach, and you think you know everything, and then really the only way for you to really learn it is to go through all these scenarios and things that you didn't think would come up, and situations and games. You can have a whole list of things that constantly come up, and there's still things that I'm learning. I certainly don't have all the answers, but I feel like the more experience you can get as a coach, continuing to learn, to evolve along with the game, it really puts yourself in position to be successful. And I think that's kind of the key, is just you kind of stack these years up. You definitely don't want to stay stagnant. You want to, like I said, evolve and learn as much as you can, push yourself to become better every year. But the experience, and year after year, it does have a huge impact.
How tough is it, Coach, to, when you first start, you probably want your hands in on everything and anything as a head coach. And then as you go on, you trust your assistant coaches more, and you hand them probably more duties, and you let them do their thing. Is that a tough thing to do? Or when do you know and find the right time to say, hey, let's let these guys go and trust, and I'll input here and there, but let's trust the process on what they're saying and what they're doing?
Yeah, no, I think that's important. And I think, we've been fortunate at Highland. Our staff has, for the most part, been together since, day one. We've had, a couple new ones coming in and out, but for the large part, our entire staff has been together. So I think, along with me saying that, experience on my end, but also as a staff, you learn things together through a lot of difficult situations. Those early years, there were situations where you find yourself in that maybe you wish you could have done something differently, and you learn from it and you grow as a staff. And I think that's really been key for us, is just being together and continuing to learn, continue to evolve. And then as you develop that confidence in your coaching staff, you feel good about where they're at and their knowledge and how they're going to coach these kids. You kind of just let them go and do their thing.
Yeah, and that's got to be a big relief off of you. I mean, as the head coach, you're not only coaching the players, to a certain extent, you're coaching the coaches as well, because they have to carry out what the overall mission is. Now, they could have different ways to go about it, but ultimately, it's all about pulling the rope in the same direction. And obviously, with your coaching staff being as experienced as it is, and being with you as long as they have, there's no doubt that's exactly what's going on. So, Coach, with that, the Highland Hornets opened their season up at Hudson, battle of some of the top teams in the respective conferences of the Suburban League. We can't thank you enough for taking the time to talk to us, Coach. I know we'll be out. We will certainly be out at a Highland game at some point this year, and see if you can't get some of your athletes on, and maybe yourself over the course of the year.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me, guys. Thank you for all you guys do.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
That is head coach of the Highland Hornets, Mike Gibbons, joining us here on the Sports on Tap Summer Spotlight. The Hornets coming off again of an 11-3 season. They run back the same exact schedule as they had last year. There's a lot of good players coming back. We got to talk to two head coaches tonight that do run good programs. We have talked about that. We've talked about that obviously with Avon over the years. I didn't mean to denigrate them by saying pesky Avon. Obviously, they are a powerhouse, and unfortunately for Highland, they've been the team that's been in the way more often than not. But Highland, Avon, Cleveland Heights, some of the teams we talked to are great programs. They stack years on top of each other, and that's exactly where they're at. So just another another great night of conversation with our local high school coaches. And make sure you're sticking around for the coming weeks. Rob, I think do we want to announce who we got next week?
Yeah, you can if you want.
I'll have at it. You're the booker.
Well, we have Valley Forge. Well, we're waiting to confirm that as Coach Laheda will be on, and also Coach Morgan from North Ridgeville. He is confirmed for 8:20. We'll see if we can get Valley Forge at 8 o'clock. What's funny is both those teams again play this year, and we have them on at the same time, which is just coincidence on what coaches respond. But it's always great to talk to some of these coaches from different programs, and they all do things a little bit differently, and it's interesting how they develop these players. But I was laughing when you said pesky Avon, because I bet you a lot of teams say that. They're a tough program, man. They continue to grow, and Coach Elder has figured out what works for them, and he's doing it at a pretty high level. So I'm sure a lot of these coaches are trying to do that, but it's exciting to get some of these coaches on, and we'll try to continue to get other coaches on. We've reached out to a decent amount in the conferences we cover, and we'll see who responds and who we can get early on in August now, because the 29th on that Monday would be Morgan and Laheda, and we'll see from there.
I got to tell you,
please,
to go back just to touch on something. If I'm a defensive coordinator in the GCC, and you listen to that interview with Coach Stephens, and he described how Marquise Davis had about 2,400 yards, and he didn't play his best, or he was in the wrong read, or they didn't block well enough for him. And then he goes about how big that offensive line is. They have buildings in front of it on that offensive line. If your smallest guy is 6'3", 280,
that's
6'2", 280, that's insane. So Marquise Davis, I mean, if I'm the GCC, you better bring your lunch, because to get to that kid is going to be a feat unto itself. And I'm just going on what's on paper. And same thing with Highland. We talk about Highland every year. They're in that sweet spot where, like you said, he's had those kids in that program for so long. They've gotten so many extra practices because of that. Like, it's amazing how just a little bit of success breeds more. And Coach Gibbons hit on it right there. Like, hey, we got some players coming back. We got some new kids coming, in these skill positions, but it's not really new kids. It's plug and play. They're not learning a new offense. They're not learning they're not having to tailor it to anything. They grew up playing that. And that's what's so good about these programs is these kids have grown up playing the system. So that by the time they get to the opportunity to produce, it's like second nature. And that's what these coaches want every single year. Now, some of these programs are starting over. Again, we mentioned Brunswick with the new coaching staff. Obviously, down the road, that's where you want to get. But let's not forget why these coaches are where they're at. Cleveland Heights is a great program. They've been a great program for years. Highland, fantastic program. They've been a great program for years. Avon, Twinsburg is now starting to see that system in place now. So it's awesome to see. And the only place that you're going to be able to see it in depth with the coverage is with Sports on Tap. We do this for the love of the game, for the sport, for the athletes. That's why we do this. We're out there. We send Noah to these places. We make sure he gets the interviews. We send Rob out to these places. We want to make sure he gets the interview. I go out there and I run away as soon as the game's over because I have a fear of talking to coaches after a game because I don't want to be that guy that asks the dumb question. So you get a variety with Sports on Tap, but we're breaking it down week in and week out. We are so excited to bring you 2024's high school football season. We are literally, a month away from game one? Tomorrow's 30 days from game one. I mean, that's insane. And we're just getting started with our coverage of football. We're also don't let us sleep on hockey because we're going to come back and do hockey like we do it every year, but better. But the only place you're going to see it, guys, is if you're on YouTube hitting that subscribe button, smashing that notifications bell so that you guys are fresh whenever we come on and talk about the latest in high school sports. And I'm not even getting to what Noah does with his Dr. Hoop stuff, his basketball, his baseball coverage, his softball coverage. I'm pretty sure I saw him out there with, trying to figure out how to shoot lacrosse. You got to wear a helmet though. No, we can't have you out there because they're wicked. They're winging balls, bro. You can't be.
He's probably
the last
on the
thing we
field.
need.
He's on the field in the.
I know he's playing goalie. He's playing goalie for lacrosse. I mean, this guy's everywhere. Noah's everywhere. But yeah, we are excited. It's going to be awesome, and we will be back next week talking to coaches and breaking down and just getting pumped for the week. But again, we need help from the audience. If there's somebody you want us to talk about within these leagues, coaches, players, send a line to Rob at what is it, sportsontap@gmail.com.
sportsontap.podcast@gmail.com. Yep.
And just say, hey Rob, you idiot. We need to talk about this guy. And Rob
we don't
will
have to call names now, Sean.
Sorry, that's what when I send him an email, I say, "Hey Rob, you idiot," but don't do that because he gets very sensitive.
That's being nice.
He's so sensitive.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Sean. So make sure you're following us on YouTube, like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter /X at SOT Podcast. Your live updates for each of the games that we go out and cover will be on our X page. At SOT Podcast. Make sure you follow us on Facebook at Sports on Tap. The website, sportsontappodcast.com. That's going to be your central area to get to know the schedule, where we're going to be, standings, player of the week, all that stuff will be popping up on our website. And we're on Threads at SOT_podcast. Hopefully you're listening to us on Spotify right now as well. And of course, the email address is sportsontapodcast@gmail.com. And with that, for Rob Troutman, Sean Duffy, Noah Jacobson, and Josh Sheffy out on assignment, my name is Ed Dick. Make sure you stick around for a word from our sponsors, and we will see you on the other side. Big thanks to Mac Stephens from Cleveland Heights and Mike Gibbons from Highland. Again, I will see you on the other side.
Sports on Tap Summer Spotlight is presented by Raymond Felton State Farm.
Have you compared insurance rates lately? Are you satisfied with your current insurance provider? If not, look no further than Ray Felton State Farm, a proud sponsor of Sports on Tap. For a free quote, call his office at 234-284-2996 or visit him online at rayfelton.com.
Whether you're hosting a corporate event, wedding, conference, concert, or any other special gathering, our comprehensive range of services will exceed your expectations and elevate your event to new heights. RRT Productions. We shoot, we edit, you win. Visit our website at www.rrt-productions.com.
Hand-and-built leather goods. Leather goods built for life. Made by hand in the USA, all goods are made with veg-tanned leather. Some of the best quality around and made by a U.S. veteran. Check out their website, www.handbuiltleather.com.
We've got the experience, the passion, and the beach to make your event a smash hit. Whether it's a romantic wedding, a lively sports venue, or a rocking high school dance, Troutland Entertainment has you covered. Contact them at 330-414-4261 or email them at troutlandent@gmail.com. That's troutlandent@gmail.com.